This afternoon, the Secretary General and Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, will witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding on a strategic partnership between the UN and the World Economic Forum, which outlines areas of cooperation to deepen engagement between the two institutions and to jointly accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda.
Before we get into this video, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, BackupSolarBank.com. What you got here is a beefy backup power bank that can be powered by the sun and through a regular wall outlet. It has a built-in LED flashlight and SOS strobe light features that can be seen far away, a high battery capacity of 20,000 milliamp hours, wireless charging that automatically recognizes most devices, and it has a bi-directional fast charging Type-C port, USB port, and a USB QC 3.0 fast charging output port, which can charge 3 devices at the same time. Do yourself a favor and grab a couple of them for you and your friends. My discount link is in the description below.
Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve raised interest rates today, which makes it more expensive to borrow money. And of course, the Dow responded very positively, almost up 1,000 points in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Remember, the Federal Reserve is the major cause for inflation. When you dilute the M1, M2, M3 money supply, then what you do is you devalue every dollar that every American or anybody who holds dollars has in their pockets. So the Federal Reserve, it's almost like the Federal Reserve is the classic Hegelian dialectic scenario, problem, reaction, solution. They create or co-opt a problem. In this case, they create the problem of inflation, the devaluing of the dollar. They wait for the fear-based reaction. Oh my God, the food bills, electric, energy bills, cost of living is going up. And then they step in to provide the pre-planned solution that they had waiting in the wings the whole time. In this case, they've raised the interest rates 0.5%, and they promise to do more. So basically, it becomes more expensive to borrow money to do the projects that you wanted to do. Did you want to borrow a house? Did you want to get into a building project? Did you want to borrow it for a car? Well, it's going to cost you more money to borrow money now. And so that's why the Dow Jones Industrial Average and Wall Street responded positively to it today. Federal Reserve ordered the largest interest hike in more than 2 decades Wednesday as part of its escalating campaign to battle stubbornly high inflation. Like they're our saviors and they have the sword and the shield and they're like, get behind the Federal Reserve. We'll save you. We'll save Main Street. And they're the ones causing it. They are the ones who are enemies. They're the ones who are devaluing the product of your time and labor and energy. If you pull out a dollar bill, it's a Federal Reserve note. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. That legal tender that you're working for, that's the product of your time and labor and energies. They are literally tapping into and devaluing your time and devaluing your labor. And then they're going to step in and say that they're your savior. They're the savior of your time and labor. They're going to secure your economic future when they're the ones going out there to destroy it. If you look at the inflation chart from 1913, when the Federal Reserve came online, until today, you see how the interest rates or the inflation rate just kept going up and up and up incrementally every single year. Every year it went up. That's the classic case of boiling that frog in the water. The central bank raised its benchmark rate by 0.5 percentage point following a 1/4 point increase in March. The move marks a sharp U-turn from the easy money policies the Fed had pursued through most of the planned organized partial shutdown of the U.S. economy in the second quarter, according to James Bullard from the St. Louis Federal Reserve. They're all in on this together. Planned shutdown of the U.S. and world economies. Planned. That's your planning. That's the planning stage of the Hegelian dialectic. The Fed also telegraphed that it expects additional rate increases in the months to come, continuing a campaign that has high stakes for the U.S. economy. So congratulations if you got your mortgage locked in before the interest rate went up. That's going to be good for you overall. Possibly. Because then you got to go back to 2007, late 2007, early 2008, when Ben Bernanke said, oh yeah, nothing's wrong with the housing market. Nothing to see here. Just a couple months later, just a major economic crash in the housing market. The committee is highly attentive to inflation risks. They're creating the inflation. The Fed's rate-setting committee said In a statement, inflation remains elevated, reflecting supply and demand imbalances related to the planned organized partial shutdown of the U.S. economy in the second quarter, higher energy prices, and broader price pressures. The committee added that the war in Ukraine is putting further upward pressure on prices. So it was the Convids 1984 by George Orwell. You got the beer bug that we can blame. We got Putin that we can blame. All this stuff going on with Ukraine that we can blame, but we will never, ever blame us. It's never our fault. We're here to fix the problem. We're not busy creating it. And then you got government functionaries and mainstream media teleprompter reading corporate idiots laying cover for the Federal Reserve 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in their propaganda campaigns. That's why I call them the propaganda arm for the military industrial complex, for the prison industrial complex, and for the big pharma industrial complex and the Zio international banking complex. Consumer prices in March were 6.6% higher than a year ago. I think it's more than that, guys, because CPI, Consumer Price Index, does not factor in food and fuel. Just let that sink in. When they throw you the CPIs, the Consumer Pricing Index, they exclude fuel that you need to get to work to make money so that you can buy food. They exclude food and fuel. Tell me that's not dishonest. Oh, look, inflation is completely gone. It's up 8.5%. Guys, last time you went to the grocery store, you know for a fact that prices are up way more than 8.5%. It's more like 30, 35, 40%. It's off the charts. I was noticing last night, I was in the grocery store and I was picking up just a few things. There are certain things that I'm not going to buy. Last time I went to the store, at least in Tahlequah, avocados were 68 cents. Last night they were $1.22, and I am telling you the avocados are smaller. So you have a smaller product and you have a higher price, like twice as high as it was, 68 cents to $1.22. That ain't 8.5%. Had this little tray of blueberries, used to be $4.48. It's now $6.29. That's more than 8.5%. So Consumer Pricing Index does not include food and fuel. According to the Fed's preferred inflation yardstick, yeah, of course they're going to prefer that inflation yardstick because they don't have to show you what the inflation really is. But you and I know. Used car prices are up 40%. Used car prices. It's insane. That's the sharpest increase since 1982, excluding volatile food and energy costs. Prices were up 5.2%. Yeah, just exclude the things that people actually need to live. Exclude food. Exclude fuel. Inflation has been driven by strong consumer demand for both goods and services, which is outpacing the ability of businesses to deliver. And I'm not saying that's not a factor, but one of the major factors is when you have the Federal Reserve fox in control of and guarding the hen house, how can you expect not to wake up every morning seeing many, many chickens on the ground with their throats sliced open? The Fed hopes to cool off demand by making it more expensive to borrow money, but interest rates are still low by historical standards, so the central bank will likely have to move aggressively to catch up, with another 0.5 point increase expected the next Fed meeting in June. Fed policymakers said in March that they expect rates to climb to nearly 2%. This is a rigged game, guys. This is a rich man's trick. This is a rigged game, and you have the Dow Jones Industrial Average reacting absolutely positively to this news. Let's take a look at a year chart on this. So we're about in the center of this. About in the center. On the monthly chart, still down over the month, still down on the 6-month chart, and still down on the yearly chart. Actually, almost at break even from when the year end. There's your 5-year chart. They don't want this thing to go down. They want to continue to manipulate prices like the price of silver, like the price of gold. Silver right now, unbelievably, silver is at $23.34 an ounce. It's all a rigged game. It's all a club, and you and I ain't in it.
While we have time and it still retains some of its perceived value, maybe it'd be a good idea to convert your worthless fiat into valuable, storable food. Don't be the one who waits till the food riots start happening. You don't want to be fighting panicking people in the store over that last jar of peanut butter. At Prepare with High Impact Flix, you can get up to 3 air and watertight gasket sealed ammo cans, each filled with a 4-week emergency supply. 7 food varieties, 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and each meal comes in a resealable, heavy-duty 4-layered pouch. And it's got a 25-year shelf life. Every order of a 4-week supply gets you $100 off plus free shipping. Here's how simple it is to make. I'm going to cook up some Granny's home-style potato soup. People are going to think I'm a culinary hero. You open the pouch, boil 4.5 cups of water, stir the contents, simmer on low heat for 15 to 20 minutes, take it off the heat, then let it set for 2 to 3 minutes before you serve it up.
Man, this stuff's so good. People are going to think Granny stopped by and filled your kitchen with a whole bunch of love.
Well, if Granny does stop by, she's going to fill your behind with a whole bunch of buckshot if you keep talking with your mouth full. Wipe your dang beard off. It's embarrassing. So maybe convert some of your worthless fiat into valuable food while you still can. Order now and get $100 off of up to 3 4-week emergency food supplies at preparewithhighimpactflix.com. The link is in the description.